It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into your world, and let's ask you this first and foremost. 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging, changing everything for all of us. Ultimately, how did you survive the pandemic of 2020, and how has that radiated into your world in 2025?
Absolutely. And wow, it's been 5 years. So
Yeah,
much has changed.
yeah.
So for me, and I know there's like two groups of people, the pandemic either really like, I don't want to say like too negative, but it was really hard, or it helped you blossom. And I was part of that group where it helped me blossom so much as a person. I was actually piercing at the time. I was managing a tattoo shop and piercing at this very popular place. And I mean, we completely shut down. So that gave me time. I was like, I can go run. I got in the mountains. Like the mountains are our backyard. So I was on the trails all the time. I was competing in Spartans as well. So I didn't know, like they just started to close down events by events, and I had this huge one coming up. So I was training. Thankfully, I had a at-home gym that I had been building. So I had everything that I needed. I lived in the mountains. My little brother actually started to live with me during that time, and we built this whole trail system out there. So we really got to connect in ways that like we wouldn't have. And then once the piercing shop opened back up, people just started to flood in. I mean, everybody wanted their piercings, and it really allowed me to save a lot of money at that time. And little did I know, in about 8 months after we reopened, I was approached with an opportunity to actually leave that world
Mhm.
and start a company from scratch with a provider here in town. It was a telehealth company doing functional medicine, etc. And I took that leap of faith. I was going to be able to work from home and like being able to have that freedom during the pandemic. I was like, I can work from home. I have like the savings that I was able to have. So let's just go do something big and take this chance. And I said yes. And I'm still with that company today, and we are thriving. And it really pushed the envelope for me for sure.
So let's holistically look at what you do. You know, you're an adventurer, you're a photographer, a blogger, and you have your company. But if I was to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds at career day and the kid in the back of the room is like, hey, what do you do for a living? What's your answer?
Ooh, there's so many questions in that one. I do a lot of things, little kid. So my 9 to 5, I am the COO of the company. So I wear many hats. I am on the back end of the business, making sure that everything runs seamlessly and that we are profitable and everyone's happy. And then outside of my 9 to 5, I do mentor women to take that big, bold leap in their life as well, and to listen to that nudge so that they can create the life that they crave daily.
So, what did you want to be at 12 years old? What was your dream gig?
I always wanted to be a veterinarian, but
Okay.
I do have these like memories of I grew up out in the country. So I do have these memories of growing up and my mom driving around, and I would see just like these big open plots of land and be like, I could put a building there and own something. Like I could do like what would I own? But it was always like I could put something there and own it. And I did go into entrepreneurship in school, so maybe that was kind of like a little trickle down effect. And yeah, still doing it today in some sort of fashion.
Yeah. So, take me back to your childhood. What were some of the foundational seeds that sprouted into who you are today in regards to being an entrepreneur, to running a company, to being adventurous, to giving advice to women? How did that happen? How did that turn and evolve into who you are today?
Yeah, so much part of my story is that I did develop an eating disorder when I was really small, still in elementary school, and I carried that with me through college. I did get into abusive relationships and drug and alcohol abuse. That was almost my path, but at the same time, I was still on a steady track within school, making straight A's, and everyone's like, "How'd you do it?" And I'm like, honestly, like, I think there was just something so burning down deep inside of me that I knew this part of my life wasn't meant to be my life forever, even though I was stuck in it, I felt like. So I was still trying to discover this other person that was living really deep down inside. And it took me a lot of years to do so, but I overcame so many challenges along the way, taking those big risks. Being president of like multiple clubs and always putting myself in situations that were harder than my reality to get me closer to the reality that I wanted to be in. And my life has just been constantly up leveling in that sort of way. So owning well, I wouldn't say owning, but being the COO of this company is huge because I have so much background in just facing challenges and obstacles and leading people and like using my own personal growth and applying it to whatever they are going through too.
Yeah.
And now I'm mentoring women to do the same because I don't think that no one should stay stagnant in their life. There's so many opportunities. And to be able to really grasp onto that, like just because you are where you are today doesn't mean that like tomorrow, and it doesn't have to be this big jump in 5 years. Like you can start making these little shifts tomorrow,
Yeah.
today, within the next hour, and they just start compounding, and your life is just going to be totally different than what you're stuck in quotations marks right now.
So let me ask you this. If if you look back on your life and your timeline, who's been that inspiration? Who's been that person that's allowed you to evolve and to grow into yourself, your voice, and be who you are, a hero, so to speak?
I don't think I ever had like a single person. Um, Growing up, especially through my college days when I was going through like the thick of so many things, it was almost myself during those times. I kept
Yeah.
everything a secret. I didn't tell anybody of my struggles. I put on this facade because like I said, I was doing really well on the outside looking in, but deep down inside I was struggling. So I really had to lean on, okay, what can I personally learn to continue to grow out of this situation? And as I started to do that, I did get involved in like the ultra running community. And for me, I think that community has been the strongest like example of everything that I wanted to shoot for my entire life. Like the energy, the joy, the support. Like once I got with them, it wasn't one person. I do have, like my core friends, but as a whole, this community has propelled me forward. So I would say being involved in the running community here in Asheville.
So
And
it, yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this. If you can meet somebody inspirational, there's a lot of parts of your story that's totally about overcoming, evolving, inspirational. If you can meet somebody in the world that's inspirational, that you find amazing, and you could spend some time with them that might help you on your journey, who would that be?
ooh, let's see. Who do I want to meet? Honestly, Courtney Dauwalter in the running community.
Yeah,
I think I might be like butchering her last name. I don't know how to pronounce it very well.
yeah,
But I always look up to her and her style of running, and she is just the most joyful, humble person. And I mean, she's the goat of ultra running, everyone says. And like
yeah.
she is, like she just crushes it. But how she like her perception on how she races and what she goes through and how she conquers everything, it's such like she goes so deep into the mental mindset of things, and I love that about her. And Sally McRae as well is another outstanding runner who just really dives into her heart and her soul and her mind. And it's not just about performance, it's really about how I can do something today to like help others. It's not just about myself. It's I'm here for other people. And I love that approach because I think we can learn so much from those types of runners, people,
Yeah.
anybody in the community.
So let me ask you this. Every day you wake up, what's the motivation? Like for you to do the work that you do and to also balance it out, to take care of your soul and to do the best job you can. What is that for you every day?
It's definitely living in the energy of who I want to continue to become. Um, like I mentioned before, I don't want to stay stagnant, and knowing that there's so much out there and trusting myself and just continuing to put myself in situations where the obstacle's the way. And it's almost like a game. It's like, okay, what's going to come up today that I can tackle and grow from, learn from, and whether it be small or big. And I think we can apply these principles to anything that we're doing. It's not this huge, like, I need motivation to conquer like this big extravagant thing when you start motivating yourself just to work on your non-negotiables in the morning. What does your routine look like? It just compounds.
Yeah.
So continuing just to be a better person is such a huge motivator.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into a younger version of you, 18 years old, you're ready to go out into the world, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give that young version of you?
First of all, I would tell her that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because back then I did not think it was. And I'm so proud of you, little 18-year-old self, for doing what you've accomplished. Um, I think my biggest advice would probably be to lean into the people around you a little bit more. Like I said, I was very afraid to be seen. And I was an outgoing person, but with all of my struggles and who I was still very scared to speak. And I think that held me back for way more years than what it should have. So speak more, don't be afraid to be seen, and show up as you because you are valuable.
So, as an adventurer, what's one of the most magical places you've traveled to on the planet? One that you didn't expect and you totally loved?
Colorado's always going to have my heart.
Yeah.
I lived there for 5 years. That place always brings me back. I just got back from an island vacation in Beckway. Have
Okay.
you ever heard of Beckway?
No.
It's in the Grenadine Islands.
Okay.
It blew me out of the water. Like, I was expecting great things, but it's just this small, itty bitty little community. I think the square miles, it's like 7 miles long, 3 miles wide. And it was absolutely insanely beautiful and the people there. So that definitely blew me out of the water.
So, let me ask you this. If you were to walk into a room of everybody that knows you in a business professional sense, you swim through that group of people, you go to a podium, and you can tell them one fun story. First concert you went to, jumping out of an airplane, something, just a fun story. What would you tell that group of people?
Ooh, I've jumped out of an airplane by myself before,
Okay.
so
I love
that's
it.
fun. I used to go skydiving so much when I was in college. We had a drop zone that was about 30 minutes away from where I live. So we were out there tandem diving all of the time. And
Yeah.
finally, the instructor was like, we're not taking you tandem anymore. Like, you're out here way too much. You're jumping out of the plane by yourself the next time. And I was like, what? Okay. So we took the class, me and a group of friends, we took the class. We all ended up jumping solo that day. And the crazy part about this story is my friend went first, and all of us were trying to like look out the window to watch him out of the plane, and they kept pulling us down. And we just thought like we're not allowed to do that, like safety reasons or whatever. But what ended up happening is he had to pull his reserve chute on his first flight ever solo. And
Wow.
they didn't want us to be like see what was happening. And then they still shoved us out of the plane by ourselves
Oh,
afterwards.
wow.
So we didn't find out until we all landed, but he's safe and he still jumps.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If everything that you've done, accomplished, and overcome and evolved to at this point, what are you the proudest of?
Tackling my eating disorder, 100%. That was a huge, huge thing. I lived with it for almost 29 years, and I went through phases of it being very, very hard and in the depths of the trenches of this is not healthy. And then I would get better. But the mental aspect of it, I couldn't ever really live and be who I was because there was always this secret hidden inside of me. So whenever I was with friends, whenever I was speaking, it just felt like, even though it wasn't on that topic or even anywhere near talking about it, it was just this like dirty little secret that I had. And ultimately 2 years ago, I actually got on a podcast and just decided that was the day. And I said, I have something big to share. Can I share it? And I went live and spoke it to the masses. And ever since, I've just gained so much courage and I really learned who I was
Yeah.
um, at the depths of my heart. And being able to be the real me, it's just been so much freedom and enjoyment in life.
We all have a very complicated relationship with eating, though. Every one of us, you
Hmm.
know? I mean, whether or not it's technically a disorder, I mean, let me look at this country specifically, too. I mean, it's like it's difficult because it's not like smoking or something like that. Like we all have to eat, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's just one of those things that I was just thinking about that. It's interesting. So let me ask you this at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you in any capacity, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am definitely courageous at heart. Um, my and my heart is wide open. Like I will love you so deeply, and I'm always going to push people to take that next step in life and to be adventurous and just really soulful. Like I like to get deep into the soul vibes for sure. It lights me up.
So, with all of the women that you're helping, what's been one of the best letters, best feedback, best moments of helping someone break through and get to that place?
I think it's realizing their potential.
Yeah,
Um, Women and just anybody too, like men as well. I think we have this perception of ourselves, this idea of like what perfection is and like who I have to be, and we're stuck in this box. And when we release all that and we give ourselves the freedom to look at our thoughts in a different way and change our behaviors, it just opens up the potential that you have to be that authentic person and start taking those risks. Because without that, like the risk is really scary. And without being true to who you are and leading with your like an undivided heart, then things are always just going to get a little chunky. So getting clarity on that has been like the greatest gift. And then to see these women just have those moments like, I can do this. I will do it. And then they go do it. Like one of my friends just opened up her own business. And it was because just like these discussions that we kept having. And she's like, you know what? I can do it. And now I see her and I'm like, you're doing so good. I'm so happy for you.
yeah. So let me ask you this. We get off this call, time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go anywhere in the history of time and see one event with your own eyes. It won't create a ripple in time. It'll just be watching it for fascination's sake. What would you love to see? There's a
Hmm.
lot of stuff.
I know there's so many things. This is a hard one. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Sorry.
I and I don't know like what the exact time frame is, but in like the samurai days of like the China Empire
Uh,
and like all of those, whatever time frame that is, like I am fascinated. Like I always think that that is like the coolest time and to like watch one of those battles and for them to like all gear up and yeah, I would say that.
that's awesome. So it says in Japan, it was the late 12th century to the late 19th century. That's a lot. That's a lot. So yeah, that's there could be anything in that time period. So let me ask you this: if anybody wants to learn more, they want to reach out, they want to get on your blog, any of the good business in your world, where do they go?
You can find me on Instagram, Teresa Bowser _. And then I do have a really amazing free download if you want to link that into the show notes. It is the 7-day journal prompt where we just dive in and it's all of the principles that I've been learning and putting together that they can walk through to really just reset their mind and their gratitude.
Excellent, Teresa. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your
Thank
story. I
you.
appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Looking to get new clients to your business through cold calling or email marketing? At Agency Y, they envision a world in which small and big companies have equal chances to win new customers in the market. Their purpose is to bring parity and reduce the gap between large and small firms with the help of their cold calling and cold email marketing services. Use the code Joe Dimino 10 at www.agencyyyy.org/coldcallingjoe.php or www.agencyyyy.org/emailmarketingjoe.php to get 10% off your first order. This is Joe Dimino of Neon Jazz and Famous Interviews, and I stand behind Agency Y to meet your business dreams.